Gracefully and Frankly is so generously sponsored by Sierra Sil. It is an all-natural anti-inflammatory. If you haven't tried it yet, you really must, because there's a guarantee that with Joint Formula 14, if you don't feel a difference in your joint pain within 14 days, just take it back to where you purchased it. They promise they're good people and they're great supplements.
Check them out online at sierrasil.com, Sierra like the mountains, SIL.com. And get 10% off your purchase with the code GF.
Episode 86 of Gracefully and Frankly, and gratefully, frankly, we're just audio this week. I'm Erin Davis.
And I'm Lisa Brandt. And coming up, some reflections on our get-together and our Facebook Live. It was just so much fun, but it did not go as planned. But that's sometimes, what are you going to do? You have to just go with it.
You gotta roll with it, exactly. Just like the tide. We're going to find out how blue space can benefit you. And no, you don't have to live by an ocean like me or a lake like Lisa. We'll tell you about that.
And if you've ever thought about taking a salt float, we'll add that to your water wings.
I prefer a root beer float, but okay, we'll go with that.
All right.
Are you in Generation Jones? What is it? We bet you are. Listen for that.
And Karens. Karens want their name back. And we'll talk about whether that's even possible.
And we've come up with a name for a group of Karens, and it's a nice one.
Mm-hmm.
Don't email us. Not that you would, Karen. Oh, dear.
Speaking of emails, we got so many for the pendants that we gave away on our Facebook Live, which, by the way, was our episode last week. And you can see it on our Facebook page and on YouTube. And so many people took the time as they entered the contest to tell us how much they love their Envy pillows.
Yep.
They've become a must-have once you start using it. One woman in particular said that she bought her Envy pillow for home, and the next thing she's getting is a travel one. It's a little bit smaller, but has all the benefits of the Envy pillow that you come to know and love, including keeping your face from getting smushed, keeping your hair from getting mussed, and doing great things for your skin with the copper infused into it. So check it out on their website and find out which one's best for you. They have a quiz there.
Envy, that's ENVY, pillow.com, and use the code GF to get 10% off. You ready? Let's go. So you're home safe and sound, and first off, we have to find out about the reunion. Yes, we know Derek picked you up at the airport like the wonderful husband he is, drove you to Port Stanley in almost the middle of the night, but what about Cuddles? How was the cat reunion?
It was good, but he could smell the dogs on me because, of course, I hadn't had a shower, right? I came straight to the airport and then straight home, and there's no way I'm having a shower at 2 o'clock in the morning. And so you could tell he was looking at me like, I'm happy you're home, but I don't know if I'm digging this. So he hasn't been all over me like he is sometimes, but that's okay. It was totally worth it.
And I've sent you a picture today as we're getting ready to record of Dottie and Livy on the floor here in my little studio, a converted sauna that we have turned into a studio. And I got to tell you that the first night you were gone, they were sitting there at their little gate because we have the living room kind of gated off so they don't free range too much. And they were sitting at the gate because they thought Miss Lisa was going to come back in.
Well, I'm going to choose to believe that.
It's true.
I love those dogs. They just took to me and I took to them, and I do seriously miss them.
And I know they miss you. Oh, I miss you too. This is what I should say.
Oh, that's right. That's right. It's funny you say that because when I was texting Derek at one point at your place, he sent me a picture of the cat and he said something about the cat missing me or whatever. And I said, oh, I miss him too. And then he writes ... And I went, oh, yeah, you too. You too.
We have to be so careful. So any adventures on your flight home, or is that the best part of traveling? And I hate to sound like we're plugging them because we would love them as a sponsor, but it ain't going to happen. Porter. Oh, my gosh. The best surprise is no surprise, as one of the hotel chains used to say.
It's true. They are my new favorite. The only downside, and it's not really a downside for me, and it probably isn't for you because we like to get our steps and don't mind a bit of hopping around, but because they're Johnny-come-lately at Pearson Terminal 3, they're way, Pearson Airport's what, in Mississauga? I think they're in Milton, their gates. So it's a lot of hoofing. But I don't mind it. I don't think it would be everybody's bag, but it's just because they're the newest airline to have to come there. Yeah. But no, they were fantastic. Even we had a little bit of a delay on the way home, and they kept us up to date. They also didn't say it's going to be 10 minutes, and it turned out to be 4 hours. It was 10 minutes, like they said, and then they said it's going to be about maybe 25 will be behind. It was. They're just terrific. They're just decent, real, honest people.
Seems to be so far. Let's hope it stays that way. Now, you got to tell me there's been a lot of chatter online, and you and I, and Gracefully and Frankly, by the way, is now on Threads, at threads.net. Follow us there. It's a much friendlier place than X ever was. There's been a lot of chatter about people who are listening to or watching videos without headphones, and on planes, too. It's bad enough in the airline terminal when people have to do their phone calls with their speakers on, completely oblivious to the people around them. But on airplanes, too, if they don't have their headphones, they're going ahead and watching their Grey's Anatomy with the volume full up. And it's really an assault on the other passengers. Did you experience that at all in your travels?
The only person I heard doing anything that was annoying was one woman who was having a really loud phone call. And it wasn't just a, hey, I'm at the airport, I'm going to be here at this time or whatever. It was ongoing. I think she was just uncomfortable being alone. But she was so loud, and it was 40 minutes or something, right up until we boarded. And that was the only one. Everybody was kind of looking around at her like, really? But that was it.
When did our private phone conversations start having to be on speakerphone?
I know.
It's uncomfortable for me having my phone up to my ear because my ear gets hot for some reason. I don't know, it's probably all the rays and all that kind of thing. But, you know, and I know you have hearing aids and that sort of thing, but when did this become acceptable that our personal noise isn't being kept personal? I don't understand it, Lisa.
I don't either. Some people blame COVID because we were isolated and just doing whatever we wanted and not being concerned about other people, but that doesn't mean manners go out the door. I used to blame home videos back in the day for why people were so rude during movies. But I think there have always been talkers during movies. I think there will always be people who think they're using their inside voice when they're using their outside voice. And we know as people who are into the voice, how few people are aware of their voices. The volume, the timbre. Oh, yeah, there was that one thing that happened on the way to your place.
Ooh.
With those two young women who, you know, when you deplane, you go by row.
Well, you're supposed to. That's stopping, too. I can't tell you the number of times we've been passed in the aisle by people who don't have a connecting flight, because I've heard other people say, oh, do you have a connection? No. And they're just pushing through instead of waiting their turn. Okay, do tell.
Well, this was the first time I've witnessed it. So there was a man sitting across the aisle from me, about our age, on his own. And then I was sitting with there was a younger guy in the seat next to me. So we would have been next. And these two younger women, I would say 20, 21 maybe, pushed through when the man across from me was trying to get out. And he said, oh, we go by row. He was really nice. And the young woman said, well, I'm moving out of the way so my sister can get out because we're like not adults like you and younger people get off first. And,
what?
And he looked at me, we made eye contact, and we both rolled our eyes to such a degree. And he went, all right. And he backed up because you just don't know where crazy's going to go. So he just let them go, and he was really nice, but it was just so wrong.
Yeah, what is it about planes? There's something about that small and often uncomfortable experience, although that's not what you had, that just brings out the worst in people. Oh, my goodness. And
sure
remember,
does.
If you have a middle seat, the middle passenger gets the armrests. It's an unwritten rule, but it's a good one. Okay. All right.
There's no middle seat on the Porter plane, so
I know.
Neither person I sat with used the armrest in between. We had turbulence again, and I was too busy digging my fingernails into my thigh. So,
Oh, my God. I was like, what is it like when you're long distance and you know somebody's in labor or something like that and you're there with them and you're pushing for them or not, as the case may be? Lisa's texting me, because free Wi-Fi. Lisa's texting me and going, I have to pee. And they have got the seatbelt signs on and I have to pee. And then I said, okay, all right, you're going to be all right. And then you said, Oh, no, a little old lady tried to get up, and they sent her back to her seat. So you let her be the canary in the mine.
I did. And then by the time the seatbelt sign went off and I went up, I was going to plead postmenopause and that I was going to say, there might be a terrible thing happen. But by the time I did get up, the woman was asleep. I guess she fell asleep in self-defense because she had to pee so badly.
Oh, my gosh. Oh.
But lots of turbulence both ways, but nobody can help that.
And you got here and you got home and our Facebook Live went, well, there was some turbulence for the first 10 minutes or so. And I told the story in Monday's journal. And of course, I linked it to our Gracefully and Frankly Facebook page. But the problems that we had trying to get my computer up, and we had this beautiful setup, all set up for sound and with a camera and everything else. And in the end, we had to use Lisa's phone, which would only shoot up and down. So it was just
It's such a hurry. We were in when we finally realized, okay, this is what we're going to have to do. No framing, no decisions, no nothing. Just turn the darn thing on. And one of my favorite moments is when you realized we had two pictures in the frame.
Two paintings, one on top of each other. It was awful.
And I was going to wear my caftan because I didn't get to first time and second time, but it basically had the same color scheme as the piece of art behind us.
Oh, God.
It was just silly. I think it went fine, and we certainly did have fun with it. And the pendants have gone out to the people who won them, and big fun.
But hearing on Monday night how badly that thing on X or Twitter or X-Twitter or whatever that Elon Musk did with Donald Trump, I don't feel so bad about our little screw-ups, right?
I know, but you've done so much more television than me. That it bothered you a lot more than me. I was just like, oh, thank goodness we're on. Oh,
it went well. And thanks to the near 5,000 people who have watched and downloaded and all that with our Gracefully and Frankly Live. You will find the link on our Facebook page or even at YouTube. We have a Gracefully and Frankly channel there, too. Thanks so much for your kindness, your support, and your patience. We came across a story that really resonated with both of us because, Lisa, you go for walks and you're right there on a lake in Port Stanley. And so you know how good for your soul it is, even on a cloudy day, a rainy day, a windy day, how good that water is for your soul.
Yeah, there's something about just stopping for a couple minutes. Well, one of the reasons we stop halfway up the staircase is to catch our breath, but we tell ourselves that we're stopping to look at the water, to see whether it's rough out or if there are people out there watching the birds on the water. It's just meditative, even if you're not planning it. There's something about, maybe it's because our bodies are made up so much of water. I don't know.
I think that's the case. And of course, just being at our place and being able to look out at the water, whether it's in the house that still hasn't sold, or the condo here, which overlooks a marina. And we actually found proof. There is proof that water is good for your soul. And it doesn't have to be a lake or an ocean. And we'll tell you about that in just a moment. But first to what it is, that water helps with your mood. It's blue space water sources in the form of lakes, rivers, ponds, oceans, even swimming pools can directly improve your physical and mental health. Isn't that amazing?
Yeah, it is amazing. I mean, water is water, right?
And it can lead to relaxation, improved social interactions, better brain health, enhanced physical activity, as in your case with Derek and doing all the walking, plus relief from stress, according to emerging research. Now, they're saying that in order to optimize your health, clinicians should consider prescribing patients spend more time in or near the water. It's called Blue Mind. And it used to be, when people said, okay, for your mental health, have a healthy diet, get lots of sleep and exercise and stress reduction. But now they're adding to that people engage in places with water sources and nature. Blue space. Isn't that amazing? And it doesn't have to be, as we say, ocean, lakes, waters, canals. It can be something as simple as what you would find in your own home.
Right. And I would love to get a prescription for some lake time.
Yeah, or Caribbean, right? Yeah.
Anywhere, put me by a water dish. I don't care. Port Stanley, my home, has the last public space along the shore of Lake Erie. And it's been probably a decade that the municipality and people have been talking about what to do with it because they don't want it taken away from people. It's one of the few places you could go and be on the edge of the water and not be on anybody's lawn without being on the beach. So there's a case there for keeping it open to people. Right now, it's just this big empty space. Just look to BC, to where you live, to see how to do it right. I know you're on an ocean and I'm on a lake, but like we're reading right now, we're learning water is water.
It is, and it can be a fountain in your home and a bath, just a bath. Which leads us to what Lisa for the first time last week because she asked, and it's called a float tank. Okay, so first we should explain what a float tank is. We did very briefly in our Facebook Live last week, but basically it's a big tub with a lid on it. It's aesthetically gorgeous. It's rounded and beautiful like an egg. You get in, and the water is your body temperature after you've showered. It's just an enclosed room. It's all very private. You have your shower. You use their products to get all your products off. Get in this bath. You can wear a bathing suit or be naked, whatever you like, because it's completely private. The water is lighted, or lit if you prefer, so it can be green or blue or red, whatever mood you want as you get in. Mm-hmm. And then you can have the lid closed. You can get on your knees and pull down the lid, or you can stay with the lid open. So take the experience from there, from the perspective of a newbie, because I've done it about 8 or 10 times in different places. Okay, go.
Yeah, I know you love it, and I couldn't wait to try it. Okay, so I went au naturel because it is private, and it was, I don't know how to describe it, except that it's super calming. The water is kind of slippery. It's got Epsom salts in it, and
yes.
It feels really good, and you don't feel at any time that it's uncomfortable or that you might drown or, there's nothing to worry about at all. You feel completely safe. The guy went through everything with me before. Now, let me be clear, I was clothed then. He went through everything with me in the room. They even have makeup remover pads and everything so you can get completely clean. And then you shower again on your way out. It was really super relaxing. And when you lay back, you literally float.
Yes.
I could feel my muscles in my neck where my pain center is relaxing. Yeah, it was beautiful.
We should point out that there is a floating ring that you put your head on that theoretically keeps your head above the water, your ears above the water, and that makes all the difference. Some float places have a little inflatable neck pillow or something. This one's, it would look like a tiny toilet seat, and you put your head in it, and it floats, and they give you earplugs. I did warn you ahead of time not to shave your legs that day because that salt, all that salt can sting like bees.
The only thing I would recommend is if you have ridiculously tiny ear canals like I do. How tiny, you ask? They use infant probes when I go to the hearing doctor.
Wow.
My hearing canals are really small, that you get a different kind of earplug that will mold to your ear and keep it, because you don't want the salt water in your ears at all. But it's just a really serene, beautiful experience.
And they pipe in your choice of 8 different music tracks as well. So beautiful spa music. I had it deep tone, and it was so relaxing. Oh, so would you do it again, I guess, is the big question.
If I had the right earplugs this time, yes, I would. It's funny, you mentioned spa music, and once my hearing aids come out, it's like, is there music? I don't know. So I don't get to hear it, but that's okay. That's not their fault. I would definitely do it again. I would do it with the better earplugs for my tiny, ridiculous, as my brother calls them, mouse ears. And I would absolutely do it again, yeah. So I mostly sat, which is fine. It was wonderful.
What about a claustrophobic person?
It's funny because I tried it with the lid closed at first, and then I made the guy tell me where the air comes in.
Okay.
Just to prove to me that I wouldn't, suffocate because I'm a little claustrophobic. And I did open the lid. The thing is, when you open the lid, the lights come on because it thinks you're getting out.
Oh.
So I think I would need to talk to them ahead of time and have them change the controls on something. But it's not scary or anything. It's just so serene.
It is. And now I want another one. Thanks a lot. I got to find a way to get water into this studio of mine. What do you think?
Oh, yeah, with a microphone. That's great. I don't know about you, Erin, but I have never been happy being called a boomer. I've never felt like a boomer. Do you feel like you're a boomer?
Well, I don't really know. I don't like labels per se, and especially when boomer is used as a pejorative. Okay, boomer. Because that's what those two girls on the plane were thinking when Buddy up front was saying, we do this by aisle,
I even said that to him. I said, you've just been okay boomered.
Well, there you go.
Yeah.
So they assign different ages, different years of birth and all that to, are you a boomer? Are you a millennial? Are you Gen X? And now Gen Alpha. So why do you ask?
I've never felt like a boomer, and apparently there are millions in our age range that haven't felt like a boomer either. And long, long ago, somebody had already figured this out and decided that our particular generation, born between 1954 and 1965, are different enough from the older boomers to deserve our own title. So we are Generation Jones, as in keeping up with the Joneses or jonesing for something, craving something more. That works for me. I think that moving us away from the baby boom after the war makes perfect sense because we don't have those memories. We did come after World War II, and we were apparently a little part of the population spike, but we don't remember the summer of love.
No.
And we probably relate more to the 80s music than 70s. I mean, there's a lot of 70s music we love, but when it comes down to what we really remember, and we are just different enough that we're put in our own cohort. So I can never remember who's what. So Gen X
Yes.
is 1965 to 1980.
Okay.
Millennials spanned 14 years, 1981 to 96. Gen Z, 15 years, 1997 to 2012. And Gen Alpha, 2010 to 2024. Again, 14 years. So I feel good about being called something else. We are going to get labeled, and maybe they'll start saying, okay, Jones, I don't care.
Yeah. So what's in a name anyway? Well, ask a Karen. Oh, boy. Ask a Karen. And we got an email specifically about this from one of our avid listeners and followers. Thank you, Karen. Karen, you know who you are. This has become such a thing over the past 5 years. Don't be a Karen. She's such a Karen. And unfortunately, when you use that word, that name, we know exactly who you mean. But it means something completely different to a person who has that name.
Yeah.
So she just wants to change the narrative, but you know what? You can't put that toothpaste back in the tube.
No, and who's going to say, okay, call them Elisa then?
Well, yeah. It could have been Elisa.
Could very well. And I don't think there's much you can do about it unless you start calling yourself, if your middle name is Ellen or something, call yourself K.E. Or I think she's just going to have to roll with that. It's too bad.
It is. And I have a Karen in my life, and she could not be less like the Karen stereotype. She's very chill. She's funny. She's just... And I asked her, how does this feel to you? Because she's a young Karen. She's not even 40. And she says, it doesn't bother me. She's got a lot of other things going on in her life. And being a Karen is not, right up there. But you and I have stopped each other from saying it because it is so much a part of the lexicon. But we know that it hurts people. It hurts our Karens.
It does.
So what do we do?
Well, I think Karens need to get organized and get a Facebook group together. There are all sorts of words we used to use for
mentally disabled.
Yes, and people got together and decided that was no longer...
Well, most did. Some didn't get the memo. Some still say something is the R word, and it just kind of flows off their lips, and you go, don't you know?
Granted, that's not somebody's name, and that's...
True.
But if a bunch of Karens got together and mobilized...
I know what you mean. A caring of Karens. A caring.
A caring of Karens. You know, I think of Karen Parsons, who I worked with a couple times over the years, and when somebody says somebody's a Karen... Karen Parsons never comes to my mind.
Of course.
Because she's so not like that, even though her name is Karen. But I think there needs to be a bit of a movement afoot to get us to stop and second guess ourselves if we go to call somebody a Karen.
I know.
You know, it's not us as much as it's the younger generations that grab onto this stuff and go with it. So we need younger Karens. If people are still being named Karen, I don't even know.
Oh, you know it has to have dropped off because of this. It has to have. Yeah. So... I don't know. We're lucky. I guess we dodged one. It's kind of like having a name like Katrina or something that is associated with a natural disaster. But even that hasn't become part of the lexicon, part of our speech, part of our insults. When your name is an insult, we really just need to stop labeling. And that goes back to Boomer and Jones.
It's just so easy. That's why I guess everybody does it, because it's so easy. Once you get a word like that, the only thing I can relate this to is when Jessie Coulter had a song out called I'm Not Lisa.
My name is Julie.
My best friend at the time had the name Julie.
You're kidding.
We were little kids in Grimsby, Ontario, and we were teased mercilessly about it. But it wasn't so much a bad thing. It was just that we were being highlighted because the song was playing every 15 seconds on the radio.
Yes.
But the only thing I can relate to is just going, no, please just leave me alone. But
yeah, and Estella. I mean, every disc jockey radio morning man, every time there was Estella on the phone, he had to do his best Marlon Brando. So
Stella!
Exactly, that one. Oh, gosh. Okay, we stop with the labels. Is that what we're going to try and suggest? And a caring of Karens. There you go. Miss Lisa, we miss you here at the condo, and we had such a good time with a visit to Pender Island to your friend Sarah Smith.
Yeah.
I found my new happy place, but there are 0 cabins or anything on Magic Lake to rent even for a couple of nights, because you know me, I'm always wanting to run away. But except when you were here, we didn't run away anywhere except for that day trip to Pender.
Right, and I wrote a blog post this week about how Pender, I think, has my ideal climate. I think it's pretty, I mean, yours is great, but Pender, it's just that little bit cooler. I could really see going back there often.
You won't have your husband, though, if you tried to move there, though. Derek has his people and his roots so firmly there in Ontario.
Right.
So you can come and visit any time you want. As Elvis sang, return to Pender. Sorry, that's been in my head for days and days and days. I need help. You know I need help. And I introduced you to our keto-friendly scones here in Sydney.
My goodness. Do they ship?
No, but I do. I'll bring some next time I come. I'll freeze them and bring them. And, of course, we did thrift stores. And, tell about the purchase of the week. I am still cavelling about this. I'm so happy for you.
Well, you saw this T-shirt, actually, a navy blue shirt that had a little bit of an empire waist, and it was just so pretty. And it was $6. It fit me like a dream. And as I was checking out, we found out that it's from the store across from your condo where everything is about, $70 and up.
Yep.
So
Yep.
I was over the moon. I got this perfect, no stains, no nothing t-shirt that nobody would ever know, except I'll tell everybody.
Yes, I know. And of course, it had no stains until you had dogs lying all over you for about a week straight. But isn't that the best feeling when you just find that amazing? Oh, and you know what happened after you left our sleepy Sydney? One of the thrift stores we were in was cordoned off by police. You'll never guess why.
Why?
Okay, I told you wouldn't guess. They found something that looked like a landmine that they were worried about because, of course, we've got military all around us. So they had the Navy come in and they said, no, it was just a replica. And someone had turned it in because they found it in Grandpa's basement or something. And so someone came across this and probably went, okay, everybody, just back away from the sale.
Wow.
Now, if it had been the right price, you would have just dove right in anyway. But
Wow.
yeah, or thrown yourself on it and gone, mine. So, yeah, that's enough excitement for Sydney for 1 week, and there you go. I'm so glad that you came. Thank you for that. We're really happy that you did.
Well, it was just a wonderful trip, and I just feel so at home when I'm with you guys. We'll do it again soon.
Yes, and bring your clothes that need tailoring because Rob sews, and he did. He took in some clothes for Lisa. So if this isn't a full-service kind of a place, I don't know what is.
My breakfast is waiting for me, the best coffee I've ever had, and my dress got taken in. It was fantastic.
Yay. Well, we'll talk to you again next week. Thank you so much for supporting us here and to NV Pillow and to Sierra Sil. So bye for now.
Bye-bye.